fight scenes? Are there explosions? Welcome everybody, I'm your host, That Guy Murph, and today we're going to be doing our very first movie review for the new Netflix release called Project Power. Project Power stars Jamie Foxx, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Dominique Fishback, and it's a story about Jamie Foxx trying to find his daughter by working his way up from the ground level to the top of this criminal conspiracy of this group that's producing a pill that gives you superpowers for 5 minutes. The catch is, you don't know what that superpower is going to be until you take the pill, and it can be anything from something cool like setting yourself on fire and being a human torch, or you could literally explode and die. So that's kind of the risk with it. They even say in the movie, I'm not really sure if I would actually take this pill because, I kind of like living, even though it could be something cool. Now, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently with these reviews than I've seen typically. We're actually going to take the time to rate each movie based on criteria that we feel are important to the movie type and what the movie was actually trying to present. Too often people try to just give you one overall number, which leaves a lot of room for interpretation. It can still set bad expectations as you go into the movie because you're really not knowing what are the parts that you should really be looking to be excited about. So, for instance, if we were going to judge a drama, I would not spend time or grade the visual effects, or I would not make that a part of the review, but I would absolutely do something like that for an action film. Too often I feel like people expect films to be one thing and they end up being something else. So with these reviews, I hope that we can let you know exactly what the movie is and you can decide if it's something that you want to spend your time and money on. So without further ado, let's get into it, and we're going to start with, for Project Power, it's pure entertainment value. Now, when we talk about the pure entertainment value of the film, we're going to be taking into account things like the visual effects, the fight choreography, explosions, right? Everything that you're looking for when you watch a action film. I think Project Power does a really good job delivering in this area. The visual effects, most of the time, are really, really stellar. Like you have and towards the beginning of the movie, the scene where Machine Gun Kelly is literally on fire and just running through, wreaking havoc throughout apartment building. You also have scenes like, there's this one scene where somebody takes a pill and their power is supposed to be thermoregulation, like they call it that, but at the end of the day, the woman takes the pill and she's literally just slowly freezing to death throughout the scene. And what kind of made it really cool is, while that was going on, you were still treated to Jamie Foxx just running through bad guys in the background. I do kind of wish that we would have got to see more clearly what he was doing and would have been able to better appreciate the choreography of that fight scene, because it seemed pretty epic from what we could see of it. But still, I found that particular piece to be quite entertaining. Now, when we talk about the choreography itself as well, most of the hand-to-hand combat is done by Jamie Foxx, and I think it's pretty solid. I wouldn't put it on the level of something like Extraction or John Wick 2 or John Wick 3 or any of the John Wicks. You get what I'm saying right now. But at the end of the day, it's still good enough to be entertaining. So from a pure entertainment value, there are, of course, explosions in this movie as well. So from a pure entertainment value, I would definitely give this movie a 7 out of 10. Next, we're going to be talking about the characters in this film. Now, let's start with, of course, the main attraction, the main star, Jamie Foxx. I think he does a really solid role portraying the character that he was supposed to portray. I don't think that there is too much depth to the character himself, but of course, Jamie Foxx always delivers charisma and he always has a bit of gravitas towards him, so I think he really maximizes what he was given to work with in this role. Now, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I would have to say something similar, although the role that he has to play in this movie is largely forgettable. He has a couple scenes that I think kind of stand out, but at the end of the day, I would not consider this anywhere near one of his better performances in an action movie. Like, his performance in The Dark Knight Rises was well beyond what we got to see here, but at the end of the day, it was really good to see Joseph Gordon-Levitt again. Now, what I really feel is the gem of this movie is Dominique Fishback. I think she actually becomes the heart of this film. And before I get too far, quick shout out to Chica. Chica's the actual rap artist who wrote the lyrics for Fishback's raps. Now, Fishback does a great job of delivering these lines with energy and a bit of gravitas to it. So, still, a stellar performance there, great lyrics to work with, great performance from her. At the same time, most of the chemistry that you get in this movie comes from her interactions with Levitt and her interactions with Foxx. Foxx and Levitt don't really have that much of an interaction, and while they are co-leads, as you would think in this movie, they would have more opportunity to interact together, but it's really just not there. But that's where Fishback comes in. She essentially becomes the glue that brings the whole thing together, and she does a great job of finding that fine balance of a child who is forced to be an adult and still acts like a kid, but has the sense and wherewithal to function as an adult. It's a balance that is very hard to strike for a lot of actors, and oftentimes it can make the character come off as annoying. But I think with the way that she handled her performance and her role here, she came off extremely engaging, and I was actually pretty excited to see such a strong performance from her as well. And I look forward to seeing more going on down the line. So with all that being said, I would also have to give this the characters portion of this movie a solid 7. It's really carried by the new actress, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Jamie Foxx do what they can with the roles that they have. But overall, like I said, for characters, this gets a 7. Next, we're going to talk about the humor factor of Project Power. Now, this movie I wouldn't really say is one of those laugh out loud knee slappers. But it does have quite a few one-liners that hit pretty well. And I have to be honest, there is something inherently funny about a partially invisible naked guy running down the street with a bunch of money bags. I just can't help but laugh at it. I think Project Power has enough humor to give the movie enough levity and heart to make the viewing experience absolutely enjoyable. Like I said, with that being said, while I am grading it on humor, I think it does a good job, but it's not the most hilarious action film that I've seen, but it does enough, I would say, to give it a solid 6 in terms of the humor department. So, with all that being said, I know I told you we were going to go over 3 things in this review, but I lied. There's one more part of this movie that I think needs to be taken into account, and that's the general story itself. The premise of Project Power, there's so much that can be done with it. There's so much potential in the actual storyline or the universe that this movie has helped establish. That being said, the story itself ends up becoming particularly bland, in my opinion. It's, yes, a guy beating up other bad guys to get to the big bad guy to get to his daughter. Like that's something I feel like we've seen quite often. So the story itself isn't, I would say, one of the reasons to go see this movie. And for that reason, I would have to rate the story a 4 out of 10. But it doesn't detract from the movie itself. Story-wise, definitely a bit weak, but still quite entertaining. To get the final rating for this movie, what we're going to do is we're going to take the average of the 3 scores that it got for its primary focuses, and we're going to take the average of that number down to the lowest number. So this movie got a 7 for its pure entertainment value. It got a 7 for its characters, and it got a 6 for its humor. So with that, technically that would come out to a 6.7 rounding, but we're just going to make it easy for us and drop that down to a 6. Now, we did talk about the story in this, and I feel like that is an ancillary part of the movie that still needs to be appreciated. So what we'll do is we'll just add that number as a decimal. So the overall rating that we're going to give for Project Power is going to be a 6.4. So thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. I hope this movie review was helpful for you. If you enjoyed yourself or just want to help a brother out, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and go ahead and watch the movie and let us know what you think down below. See you again soon.